Let's talk. There we go. Now can you see me? Yeah, I don't know why the intro didn't start. I'm having technical difficulties this morning for anybody watching, but we're having a heck of a snowstorm outside. So I think it's more of a internet issue. Anyway, as I was saying, so the taco at the prayer breakfast, which is where you do want to lie, is at a prayer breakfast for God, said that Pam Bondi is who sent Tulsi Gabbard to Georgia to get the election files. Well, here's the problem with that. The Director of National Intelligence does not report to the Attorney General. They are both cabinet positions, and actually, if any reporting had to be done, the Department of Justice, whom the FBI is under, would report to Tulsi Gabbard. So this is the problem when you lie. You can't keep your lies straight. But Tulsi Gabbard in writing said the president ordered her there, so that will be a really interesting turn to see who lied. Now, everybody is really concerned about ICE showing up at polling places because, again, Taco talks out of both sides of his mouth and sometimes out of his hiney. So he said that there would be trust issues with the election so that he may or may not have ICE out. Then Steve Bannon, who should be in jail himself, mind you, he has been convicted and has never gone to jail for his sentence, and I'd like to know why. Steve Bannon came out and said there'd be ICE agents at polling locations. Stevie, it's against the federal law for ICE, for military, for any type of armed people or law enforcement, unless they're called for a disturbance, to be at polling places. And you can't just put people outside of polling places, and you cannot put the military outside of polling places. So the bigger issue would be that the taco decides to send in the feds and confiscate the ballots. People, there will not be armed people at the polling places, and we're going to show up in record numbers. So we got to get out there and make sure that we show up to vote. Now it looks like I'm coming through. Okay, great, great, great. Now, the other thing is that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, in a hearing yesterday, went and said that we ought to just go ahead and give Taco the $10 billion he sued for. Let me repeat that. We should go ahead and give $10 billion that the Taco has sued for his angst of being elected president, I guess. And when pressed where that would come from, well, of course, it would come from the Treasury. It would come from our taxes. Now, Taco can't pay for health care. Taco can't pay for SNAP benefits. Taco laid off 317,000 federal workers, but we should give him $10 billion to settle a lawsuit that's worthless anyway. And he promises he'll give it to charity. Y'all remember when he promised he was going to give some money to veterans organizations and he didn't? or when he stole from one nonprofit he had just to fund his stuff because he wasn't given to charity, or how he gets people to donate to charities, but he doesn't give to charities. That's a bunch of bull crap, and we all know it. So we're going to keep a watch on that. And listen, Secretary Besant is a piece of work, and he really needs to go, and they're going to look into all these people. We flip this, we are going to look at all of them. So we're going to move on. James Comer of Kentucky. I don't know how we can have Massey and Comer from the same state. Massey's doing a fine job, and then you've got James Comer. James Comer fashions him this brilliant attorney, which he's not. Wasn't a good one in Kentucky, and now he's kind of like asking Jim Jordan to be your defense attorney. So James Comer is the dog that caught the car. He went on and on, it's either got to be Joe Biden's fault or Bill Clinton's fault. For some reason, they can't get a handle on how they're going to blame Obama for stuff. So anyway, he caught the Clintons. And the Clintons, who are brilliant attorneys, said, fine, we'll come. And Comer's like, oh, shit. And they're like, we're not going to come. We want to do this publicly. And James Comer is like, no. We want to do private depositions. And Hillary's, oh, no, we're going to do these out in the public so everybody can hear. And of course, you can't stop what's going to come out of their mouths and what they know. But more importantly, after the Republicans make fools of themselves trying to trap old Hillary and Bill, then the Democrats get to talk and ask questions. Comer, you're a toad. Even Taco has figured this out, and he's got mad cow disease, and he's begging you, please don't do this. It's not that like he suddenly likes Bill and Hillary. He doesn't want this out in public because then everything is out in the open, number one. And number two, you just set a precedent that you can haul old Taco's ass down and grill him, especially after he's left office. So that's going to be a fun game of chess to watch. So let's see. Also, in the latest tranche of emails that came out from the Department of Justice, they redacted the sender's name. And these are really disgusting emails. Now, they were able to redact the sender's name in all these emails, but they were unable to redact these naked girls' photos. They slipped through the cracks. They released information, names, and where they lived and stuff, forgot to redact those in this tranche. They left out a whole lot of names of girls who were victims, and those are out to the world, but we were able to redact the sender of these emails. That is not what the Transparency Act is about. So they need to get their act together, and they need to get those re-released. We need to see who sent these emails because they are really disgusting, and whoever sent them really knows what's going on Epstein Island. So that's what I had this morning on that. They've claimed that ICE is drawing down in Minneapolis, but the people there said they haven't seen the first ICE person leave. I reached out to senatorial candidate Brian Bangs in South Dakota. He talked to a tribal elder about the 3 Oglala Sioux men. They've been unable to confirm or to locate, so that story's still up in the air. Now we don't know if they're really there or not, or what happened. So that's still kind of a fluid situation, but I very much appreciate Brian Bangs for checking that out for me. And rather than vote Republican in South Dakota, vote for Brian Bangs, who's running as an independent. That's what you need to do. Okay, so now we got some people here. Let me see. I made up some banners. There we go. So I got those going. Let me run this one too. There you go. Make your daily calls. I've been playing around with this, but I'm still having trouble with it. So let's go back to where I was, which I don't know where I was. All righty. So that's all I had this morning. And there's my comments. So Carolyn Asher says it's snowing hard in southwestern Ohio, which means it's heading this way. Karen, good morning. I'm glad that you're using your outside voice. And I apologize to y'all for little bumps this morning, but I'm learning and I'm doing this by myself. When you watch these other podcasters, keep in mind they got staff right there with them that's doing this, and I'm getting it all figured out. I couldn't figure out how to press the live button this morning. It's been one of those kind of mornings. I'm sure you all understand. It's snowing. I'm snowed in. We got 7 people, 2 dogs and 4 cats in the house. And I don't have anything stronger than coffee to put in my coffee. It could be a long day. Let's see. Let's see what Carmel says. Yes, we got to get early voting in as soon as we can. Yes, Wounded Warriors ended up being a big fiasco. We've got Karen Dunn and Marietta, Georgia. Isn't this nice? I can put people's comments up. Snowing. Yeah, it's snowing at Washington Courthouse. Yes, he has mad cow. I've defined that it is not dementia. It's mad cow. And it is a real thing. Good morning from California. Judy, please tell us that it's snowing in California and you're wearing a sweatshirt. Had a conversation with someone yesterday that was in Florida and complaining about the cold, and it was 40. And I said, trade you. They decided they weren't going to trade. Yes, Audrey, I completely agree. Brenda says, I look very professional. Well, thank you, Brenda. Let me change my ticker tape here. There we go. How about all that? Get my comments going. Well, I don't know about cosplay Barbie, Christy. No, I think South Dakota ought to have a lot of fun with her and get some investigations going. But I don't live in South Dakota and I don't know the politics there. Thank you, Karen. She says, I'm doing great. I'm learning and I am so blessed that you all are patient with me. I like the comments coming up on the screen too. Helps me from reading, and these go really slow on the side so I can pick it up. Yes, Christy, my husband brought up the comment about the Obamas. That was absolutely disgusting and outrageous. But if you've watched my drops on white nationalism, why are we surprised? He and Stephen Miller are racist pieces of crap, and it's to the point now nobody's even trying to hide it. And like I said, and I'm going to get all kinds of flack for saying this, but here in Ohio, we're going to watch lizard brains explode because they have 2 choices for governor. Do we not want a woman or do we not want a man of color? Now, he's a billionaire. That kind of gives him an edge. But we're going to see what runs stronger in the state of Ohio with this gerrymandering. Is it racism or misogyny? And we're about to find out because the tacos brought out the worst in everybody. Yes, he falls asleep all the time, Caroline, because he has mad cow disease. Yeah, the snow is really coming down. Yeah, now here. Reba, my coffee, I have a hot plate at my desk, a little coffee hot plate. So I keep it on there and it keeps my coffee warm. It's just, there are days. There are days. Good morning from New Hampshire. Now, I didn't usually on my conniptions, but it is Friday. Luann wants to know if I've tried mushroom coffee. No, I haven't. I'm kind of leery of mushrooms. I'll just leave it at that. Sharon says, good morning from Kentucky. Okay, Sharon, you are like Texas. You got some good people running for Senate in Kentucky. I just hope you all put a Democrat in there. And dear God, is there anyone running against James Comer? He needs to go. I don't mind Mr. Massey, but James Comer, good Lord Almighty. And let's see. Got from Utah. Okay, got another question. Hey, Mamaw, can they really take the ballots? Well, they can try. They can say they have to federalize and take the ballots. It's a matter of who's strong enough to go get a good lawsuit going to prevent it. So I don't know. I know that they'll long be counted before he takes them. But if we have here's the secret sauce. If we have a huge turnout, they're just going to throw up their hands and quit. It's the turnout where it's won by just a couple of thousand votes that they're going to go in and say, oh, see, there was two. But when you have a large scale turnout and that you don't just win, but you trump him, like what happened in Virginia or how Mikey Sherrill performed in New Jersey, when you're winning by well over 10 points, they can't do anything. It's those close margins they're looking for. Yeah, now, for all of your MAGA buddies, and I really have pity on you, you still have buddies that are MAGA. But anyway, I do digress. If this is now all fakery, after all through COVID, they were going after the pedophile cabal of the Democrats. And now suddenly, I mean, everybody was laser focused on the Epstein files. And now we're seeing that Taco's mentioned more in the Epstein files than Harry Potter was mentioned in 7 Harry Potter books. The issue going forward is, okay, other countries have copies of Epstein's files. Other countries have opened up investigations. And the Queen Mama, before she passed, she'd already bailed Andrew's butt out. That's where he got the money to pay off Virginia Giuffre. And Andrew is through it and in big trouble. And his brother Charles did not hesitate a moment, because I always said everybody was worried about Department of Justice destroying the Epstein files. MI6 got him. The Kings got him. They're out there. And there's a lot of talk about Mossad might have some in Israel. I don't know how. But what Epstein was running was an international blackmail scheme. And he was, there's pictures of Tulsi Gabbard with Putin back when she was nothing in office, but she was going over to Russia. I mean, this is going to get real ugly. But as with any nasty growth, sometimes you just got to take out an old pocket knife and excise it. Okay, Lorna, rub it in. I'm not even going to talk to you. Nabbit. 82 in Arizona. Oh my gosh, you people. Oh, we can only hope. Good morning from Florida. How cold is it in Florida? Please tell us it's still cold. Here we go. There, I'm going to put a Canadian up here because I know it's colder than Canada than it is here. Yes, they are. Yes, they absolutely are. I think there should be a QR code somewhere. Media assets. That is for Artsy Aubreys. And that one is for my link tree. So this QR code, and what you do is just hold your camera up to it, and it'll take you right to Artsy Aubreys. Carmel, you're asking me to do things beyond my capabilities as far as putting the link in the banner. Either that or I'm going to make you drive out here and you help me out on this. So I'm still learning, folks. That's what I've got. Let me get back up here to comments. Well, Mary Ellen, they're not being hauled off to prison yet because we don't have their names. And the problem is a lot of them, they have stalled this out to where the statute of limitations is out. Now, some states, some progressive states have now changed that because a lot of women that have been, and men that have been abused, it doesn't come out until they're an adult. And so they've changed their statute on being abused as a child. But most states, the statute of limitations are gone. So the only thing you have is civil liability and going after them in this fashion. But yes, they not only need hauled off to prison, they need castrated. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Carmel. Okay. Galen, how is it in Oklahoma and Iowa? I think you're getting crappy weather too. Well, yeah, Helen, here's the problem. So Taco is still contesting the 2020 election. First of all, once an election's certified, I don't care if you find a truckload of ballots. Once it's certified, it's done. 4 years went by. Joe Biden's been president and a lot of stuff happened. I think what Taco in his mad cow diseased brain has got going on in there is he's going to prove that he was cheated in 2020. So therefore he should get to run again to make up for the 2020 term he wasn't in there. Now, I think that's what's going on in his pea brain. It ain't going to go. That dog ain't going to hunt, but that's what he's going to say, well, I ought to get another run because they cheated me out. You can't go back in time, Taco. That time's done, and you've been in office a year and you have tanked the economy. You have done everything in your power to wreck this entire government and economy. You promised the world you can't even produce a piece of paper. You are a con artist. The con's up. Now we're seeing it. No, by the way, everybody, crypto's tanking today. Cryptocurrency. The emperor who has no clothes. That's right, Luann. We absolutely need to vote in numbers so large they cannot disagree. Okay, got Tennessee. Oh, honey, Tennessee and Ohio are red, but they're red primarily because of gerrymandering. We need a federal law once we flip the Congress and Senate to where gerrymandering, which should be redistricting, must follow the voting terms. Like Ohio, we've got 15 representatives and only 3 or 4 districts that are Democratic and the rest. And yet when we vote, it's a 48-52 split, which means we should be in an 8-7. And I think we are going to have to do that. The other fix would be that electors are allocated proportionately instead of winner take all. So if we would do one of those 2 things or both things, we would fix the problem. Yeah. Yeah, this will be interesting if the UK does a release. Uh, I don't know if I could wear you can't wear any kind of political thing to the polls at all. We actually had a woman down here wore a shirt and she was told she couldn't wear it in there, and so she took the shirt off and voted in her bra. True story. Sometimes you just got to love how hillbillies think. Okay. It needs to come out faster, but the taco has taken going to court to an art form. He rarely wins, but he's learned how to drag things along until you're out of money, you can't fight him, and he's drug it out. It's just like what he did for 4 years. He's drug out court cases that should have had his ass locked up. But he drug it out long enough to get reelected because it scared his minions and they showed up to vote. And they're the very people that are absolutely getting slaughtered by his policies, taking care of his rich oligarchs. 32 degrees in Chiefland, Florida. Oh, bless your heart. Yes, we got Linktree out there too. Okay. Yeah, I'm ready for spring too. I am so ready for spring. Well, this is fun. Yes, nationalizing an election is what dictators do, and then nobody gets elected. They will remain, per the Constitution, in states' hands because we are a federal government, which means we have a lot of separate little entities who all decided on major things. We would come together as one, but each state has rights. And keep in mind, all the MAGA bunch were just so into states' rights. That's why they overturned Roe. That should be states' rights. I just love reminding them when this is, kind of like you're allowed to take a loaded gun to a protest as long as you don't shoot anybody. And now all of a sudden, taking a loaded gun to a protest will get you arrested. Come on, Second Amendment people, where are you? You just hate it when your guy gets it all thrown up back in your face, don't you? Okay, more bumper stickers. Yes. If you go up here to Artsy Aubrey's, she's designed some bumper stickers. We're going to have fun with them. So we will have fun with those. Make sure you look at all the new stuff she's put on there. Okay, well, we really got on here. Good morning. Yeah, Chuck, there is no explaining. That man from day one has been unable to deal with the fact that a smart black man, till the day he dies, will always be smarter and more attractive than Taco. His brain cannot process that. It's the same with the elegance of Michelle versus the whatever you want to call the current first lady, and that's all I'm going to say. Well, let me see here. I think we're going to have to wind this down. Now, remember, Sunday at 10 a.m., and hopefully it'll go a little bit smoother than today did, will be Sunday morning coffee with Mamaw, and we'll talk a whole lot more. But like I said, I'm playing an experiment with this. I haven't seen anybody on here from YouTube, and I really thought there's somebody from YouTube. Mary, thank you for showing me that the YouTube's working. Okay. Hey, Lyd. Well, good morning to you too. Okay. So I think I got just about everybody. So stay salty. Let me change my banner here. Use your 5 calls app. Call those congressmen and senators, those sorry SOBs. And my goodness, you can take your pick of what you want to talk to him about. I think today I really want to see Bill and Hillary public instead of behind closed doors. That would be worthy of popping some popcorn to watch. Stay salty. Use your outside voices. Remember March 28th. And I want to give, I've already talked about Brenda Aubrey, but I want to give a special shout out to Jeremy Barker for telling me about this software and telling me I've gotten to be too big to be such an amateur. So I'm trying to step up my game. I got sassy about ready to pull her hair out. I've got a really important announcement to make to my subscribers, but I'm afraid to do it too soon. I might wait till the day it happens. But I'm real excited that somebody has noticed Mamaw's Porch and Politics, and we're going to be on somebody's podcast. That's the teaser. So love y'all. Bye-bye.